Let's get loaded on Lansdowne. God, it's spraying all over me.
Steve Austin.
It's not even 9 o'clock in the morning today, so we're not gonna quite get loaded on Lansdowne yet.
No, not quite
yet. What episode are we? Is this 114 or 115?
This is 115.
Okay, welcome to episode 115 of the Loaded on Lansdowne Red Sox Baseball Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Jacaris. Alongside me virtually today is Andrew Andrews. Dance recital this weekend?
Yeah, we're on our way to Worcester this afternoon. It's
yours or your daughter's?
No, this one's actually my daughter's.
Okay.
I put away the shoes recently. I don't want to talk about it after
the accident.
But at the DCU Center.
Oh wow, cool.
So I assume they must have some kind of convention center attached to the side with rooms. I doubt it's right in the middle of the actual DCU Center. But
have you been to Worcester lately?
I have not.
You are going to be pleasantly surprised. They've done a great job with that city. So
I think the DCU Center is kind of close to Polar Park and stuff. Aren't they all in that area?
Yeah, it's all kind of centralized.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna take I got a pretty good break on Saturday, so we'll take a walk around.
Yeah, there's a bunch of cool restaurants and bars.
These are all things that no one has ever said about Worcester. You do understand?
I know.
I never been.
Wormtown Brewery's there. You might want to give that.
I've had Wormtown before. Yeah,
check that out. And I think what the hell is the name of the pub there? It's kind of near Polar Park. Is it called the Hangover or the Hair of the Dog or something like that? It's really good. Off air, I'll look it up. I'll shoot you a text.
Okay, cool.
Kind of a cool spot. It's like modern divey, so it like looks like a dive, but it's like brand new.
But they'll sell you a beer for $8. Yeah, I'm with you.
Exactly.
Well, it's Worcester, so it's $6.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna have a blast. It's
cool.
It's super cool there. All right, so we're gonna talk about your fourth place Boston Red Sox. I think Red Sox sit at 6 and 7.
I think they're still technically in the playoffs. I don't know. There's so many teams.
There's a while to go.
Yeah, right.
But
their magic number is 142.
Just kind of recapping in my brain. They lose the Yankee series, which for me was kind of no big deal. You're kind of opening a shortened spring on the road at Yankee Stadium. I thought they competed in those games, and they won that last one, which I thought was important. Then
they cutted that last one out, which I think was something. Games in April are games in April. They count just the same. Let's not but try to be positive, sir. Try to be positive.
Right. And then of course they go into Detroit and they win that series, which was you want to win series. That's kind of always been our philosophy here on the show. Is that's the most important thing. You're not going to win every game. 3. They split with the Twins, which I was a little bit disappointed with. I would have liked to see them take 3 out of 4 from the Twins, and especially they lost on opening day and on Patriots Day, which is kind of a bummer because those are the two days that are really important for Red Sox fans. And although I will say this, and I meant to talk to you about this in the pre-show meeting.
Yes.
Red Sox. So I've been to one game this year. I mean, the season's early. I'm going to go in a couple of weeks, but like the opening day crowd was weird, and I think we talked about this, which was, excuse me. I think that because it wasn't regular opening day, and people probably already had tickets for this game, that it was sort of a different opening day crowd. It was a much more subdued crowd. And so the other day was a scary moment. I'm sure you saw it when Trevor Story got hit in the head with that. I think it was like a 93 mile an hour fastball. Luckily, he had the attachment on his face. I don't know if it would have got him square in the face, but because it hit him basically in the ear.
It might have caught, but it would have been worse.
It might have caught him, or it might have deflected and hit his face. Scary moment. Story grinds it out. He's like, no, I'm gonna stay in the game. I got hit in the, he pointed to his ear.
Yeah.
And then, he stayed in the game, ballsy move, you rub some dirt in it, you get down to first base.
Oh, if you're just starting with the new team and stuff, that's something to show you for the fans, definitely.
Yeah, and I'm sure they wanted to take him out and do concussion protocols, but he looked fine after. I mean, he looked fine, at first he was of course shocked. But then he got up and kind of went to first and he was fine. And it's good to see that. And my son walked in shortly after I yelped when he got hit because I thought he was dead.
Yeah.
And then, I said, buddy, that's why we wear helmets. So, so that shit like that doesn't happen. But here's my point, and this relates to the fans. When Story got hit, no one stood up. Now, I don't know. I was looking at people in the back, and these two women, God bless them. They're still talking, and they're just like smashing popcorn down their popcorn holes, and I'm like, this dude just got beamed in the head by a 93-mile-an-hour fastball, and it just seemed like people were kind of like, they're like kind of like, they're like a dog that's like confused.
Mark, that's the Fenway Park your owners are trying to create. That's exactly what they want. They want a Fenway Park that the record or the standings don't affect ticket sales at all. You know what I mean?
Right.
So to do that, you need Fenway Park to be less about the game and more about the scene, more about the happening. You know what I mean? So if you're going to sell tickets, whether they're good or they're bad, that's kind of what the owners are going for. That kind of fan, right? Because they want their ticket sales to be protected from bad, they're not always going to be good.
Right. Yeah. It's just bizarre. It just seems like, I think it's a microcosm of society's general, just kind of like, as long as things are content, as long as I have my phone and I can scroll and, I'll be happy. I can't, there can't be any genuine emotion or, genuine concern, or, you can't get mad at the team. You can't criticize the team. You can't,
it's more of a,
you can't get rowdy at the ballpark. That's frowned upon. Everyone needs to sit down nicely and quietly and watch the game. That's what
look at the difference in the Patriots game. There's only 8 of them in the regular season.
Right.
You know what I mean? So people are there to see the game. They care about the outcome of the game. They're gambling on the game. You know what I mean? You don't go to the Patriots just to if you're the kind of fan who would go to the Patriots just to be part of the scene,
right?
You probably wouldn't have tickets. You'd probably just go to the tailgate. You know what I mean? Because that's the scene.
That's the scene.
Where
Fenway Park is the scene. I mean,
that's what they want to be. They've been trying to be that forever, and I think a bunch of World Series kind of got in the way. You know what I mean? And had some fans and stuff like that. People actually cared about the game.
I think you see that sort of camaraderie, that little rowdiness in the standing room sections.
Yeah, you get a little bit of that.
There's one behind the first base area that there's a little deck out there, and I tend to see young people congregating out there. You see it in the right field deck, the Budweiser deck or whatever, Sam Adams deck, whatever the hell it's called.
Those are people. A lot of those are people who, I get a free day. I care about the Red Sox. Let's grab a ticket and go. You know what I mean? It's not, again, it's.
And I don't know if I think we may have talked about this after I went to opening day, but I think from now on, when I go, if we go together, right? Yeah. Or if, I usually go to one game with another buddy of mine. I'm just going to get standing room only tickets and hit those different bars now.
We spend 90% of the game walking around anyways. Yeah, right. I agree. Yeah. I think it's the way to go.
It's more fun. And you can, you watch an inning from one spot and you bop around, watch it from another spot. And quite frankly, this isn't, the late 90s, early 2000s where every single seat is absolutely 100% taken up. I mean, on opening day, we went out.
Us two real, I hate to even
real fan.
Well, whatever.
Yeah. passionate fans.
Even we're falling into the scene. Well, we'll just hit the bars and we'll see who's around. And listen, if we watch the game on TV at Fenway Park, that's fine. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of, so it's, that's I really think that's kind of more of what they're going for.
And I think to your point, that's after you win.
Give it up on the guy who's going to sit there and like actually score the game.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And to your point, I think 4 World Series will do that. Right.
Yeah.
All right. But in any case,
well, the last thing before you move on, I mean, and I hate to even do this, but everyone always likes to shit on the Pink Cats, right? It's an easy thing to say, blah, 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 blah. But if you want to be sold out, if you want to break sellout records, if you want to have a full, because even listen, the Pink Cats can be annoying to people like us who pay attention to the game, whatever. I'd still rather have the place full than empty.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. And to your point,
Pink Cats.
If you want like diehard guys who are like, you know, scoring the game and like chewing on an unlit cigar because you can't smoke at Fenway anymore, but like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, and if you want that type of fan, there's gonna be 35 people in the stands now.
Yeah, it's gonna look like Detroit. You know what I mean?
All right, what was it the other day? Oakland had
2,600.
Yeah, I was gonna say they had 3,000 fans or something even lower than that.
And that stadium can hold like, I don't know, 13 million. It's so big, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they gotta get out of Oakland. As much as I hate to say that, because it's just they're such.
How can you be in California and only 2,600 people show up for a game?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You know, I don't know the ease of the stadium. I know that's why Texas built a new stadium. And I think that's why Atlanta built a new stadium, even though those stadiums were relatively
not old at all. Yeah.
Relatively new. They were, you know, I think less than 30 years old or whatever. I think it was because of where they built these places. I think the Texas one was way out in the middle of nowhere. And the Atlanta one was in a suburb that was just, you know, the suburb grew, the traffic was a nightmare. Like, it was just because I think they built that stadium for the 95 Olympics. I think that was the why they built that thing. So it was just it just wasn't conducive to, you know, access. So, you know, and you know, and it's one thing, you know, Fenway Park's tough to get to too, but it's in the middle of the city.
And they ain't building a new one. That's over.
No, that ship has sailed. I won't see a new Fenway Park in my lifetime, I don't think. So unless someone else buys the team and
which is, I think it's about time for that to happen. I kind of feel like the team needs that, to be honest.
Right.
Kind of a restart, a new owner, but
we'll talk about ownership in to close out the podcast.
I know.
But so I'm just, you know, I'm kind of looking, so we're sitting in 4th place, which is pretty, you know, that's where I thought they'd be last year. And of course they surprised me and won 92 games. I had them, I think, for about 85 wins this year. I think they got worse as a team. You know, you don't have.
I had them for 85. You got them for 81.
I had them for 81.
You got him for 500. That was okay. I can go to the tapes.
No, that's good. I thought I was like, was it 85, 83, or 81?
I got 85. I think they're a little bit better. I think they're going to squeak into 3rd place. 81 wins. If they make the playoffs with 81 wins, then we need to reevaluate why we're playing so many. Like, if you can play 162 games and be exactly 500 and make the playoffs,
right?
We're back. We're either playing too many games or there's too many people getting the playoffs. It's just not necessary at this
NBA
point.
style. It's NBA style. So the Red Sox are, as far as hitting goes, the Red Sox are ranked 6th in the American League, which isn't great considering there are 15 teams in the American League. I think you have.
That's their bread and butter.
Yeah, I mean, you have your 4. You know, they have a 233 batting average, which, you know, think about that, ranks that's middle of the pack. So, you know, obviously the hitters aren't, you know, the hitters are kind of far behind here, but your usual suspects are doing fine. You know, you have Xander. By the way, these stats are only for players that qualified. Some guys don't even have enough at bats yet. So you have, you know, Xander at 354, 1 home run, 5 extra base hits. Verdugo is playing, you know, he's hitting well, 295, 3 homers. He leads the team.
Yep.
2 doubles. JD Martinez is struggling. He's hitting 268, 1 homer, 5 extra base hits. We need more out of him.
Yep.
certainly.
Xander was struggling. You said it. He's improved these last, like, let's call
Yes.
it 6
Yep.
games.
No, he's gotten hot. First 2 series of the year, he was kind of, but he had that hamstring thing going down too, so that might have hampered him. Devers is where you want him to be. He's at 291, 2 home runs, 4 extra base hits. But you have, 2 of the holes in your lineup, and I know you wanted to talk about this, but first and foremost, you have Kike Hernandez, who is your leadoff hitter. He's hitting 157. The only positive about his situation right now is that he has 8 hits and 6 of them are doubles. So
I worry about Kiki being like, oh, were you just gonna do this for 1 year? You know what I mean? Like, this is an important second year to kind of prove that and the guy from before last year wasn't bad,
right?
Better than 150, whatever, 160, but it definitely, the guy from the years prior wasn't as good as the guy who we saw last year. So are you that guy, or was that just kind of a new team flash in the plan? I hope not.
Well, he does get streaky, so hopefully this is his his streaky season. But you got a player for me that it's sort of now or never for this player, and that for me is Bobby Dahlbeck.
100%.
Right now he's hitting 175, 1 home run. And he only has 7 hits, and he's your starting first baseman in this,
and because he hasn't been, I think the pandemic had something to do with this. I think time, and we talked about this a little bit last year. They kind of he has a feeling of like a young guy. You know what I mean? Like, oh, he's 22. He's not. He's been around, and he's, like you say, it's time to kind of shit or get off the pot with this guy.
Yep. Yeah, I think that
27, 26.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have 7 hits, and we're 2 weeks into the season. We've played 4 series, and you're averaging 2 hits, less than 2 hits a series.
And he's not a big contact guy. He's supposed to, he's going to strike out a lot. We know this.
Yeah.
But I mean,
dude, I'll take 240 with like 35 bombs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll take
Can
that.
Can we talk about yesterday though?
Go ahead.
I mean, the team struggles all game to get a hit. Okay. And you could argue it was another situation of Toronto's coach taking, he had a shutout, thrown 80 pitches, took him out after the 7th inning, right? I think he'd maybe given up 2 or 3 hits to that point. So you could argue, once again, are we protecting our pitchers too much? But hey, that's Toronto. That's their problem. So the Red Sox got the closer. They finally get something go. Oh my gosh! So you end up with what? You had guys on 2nd and 3rd. Hidalgo grounds out, but run scores. So you have a guy. We ended up what? You had someone on 3rd base, 1 out, 1 run down.
By the way, I love every time you call him Hidalgo. I love it.
And Bobby Dahlbeck, who is not having a great year, but dude, man on 3rd, 1 out, down by 1 run. For a guy like Bobby, you talk about launch angle, you talk about how he's really big on the uppercut swing, blah, blah, blah. We don't want grounders. He is the guy for this moment. Everything you've developed in your league is for this moment. And the first pitch, he hits the ball down to 3rd base. And I'm sorry, I love Kevin Youkilis. Mm-hmm. He's too close to the subject to be in the box. And it's not his fault. He's too close to the guys. He was literally cheering at one point. And if they told me one more time, oh, that was a missile that down to 3rd base. Okay, the ball hit the grass before the dirt. Yeah. And the 3rd baseman put his glove on the ground and it rolled. Listen, I would have, the ball been going too fast. I would have kind of done one of these and it would have gone in the outfield. All right. I'm an idiot. I would have been 6 beers deep. Okay. So don't give me this shit that
it would have been a softball and not a baseball.
Yeah. Don't give me this shit. Oh, it was a missile. Okay. You had one job. Just hit the ball in the air, anywhere in the outfield, anywhere past, let's say, like 30 yards after the dirt in the outfield. They were scoring that run. Okay, are you kidding me? first goddamn pitch.
Well, that's the thing. I'd have to go back and look at the tape, but maybe you can expound on this because I can't remember off the top of my head. Where was the pitch? Was the pitch down?
No, pitch was up probably around his chest, high heat. No, it was a classic. Oh, I'm gonna tie this thing up with one. You know what I mean?
So he wasn't. Yeah.
And we've been talking about this for years. It's the new baseball. The inability to situationally hit. You know what I mean? The inability to choke up and just get the ball in the air. It doesn't have to be a swing all the way out from your goddamn ass every single time. And it was so frustrating. And that's a little bit on the coach too.
To your point, I think it was in the Twins series. The Twins executed a hit and run. I believe it was.
Those are allowed.
Yeah, they executed a hit and run, and like for those people who don't understand like how much like the ball being in play is a problem in Major League Baseball, dude. When I get like more like excited about a hit and run than I do, and it was the other team. Like I got more excited for like a hit and run by the other team than like a solo shot by Devers. Like I was like, that was a beautiful.
They're playing baseball.
Yeah, I was like, that's a beautiful play.
Is there anything more awkward than I'd say, I don't know, and I'm making up the stat, 90% of the Major League Baseball players, if they have, God forbid they're in a situation where they have to bunt someone over. Have you seen some of these guys trying to bunt? Major League Baseball players.
Yep.
And it's like they're like trying to bunt is like doing something they've never done. Right. It's like a different sport. Well, you know what it's so frustrating. And Bobby Dobbin, just swing a little bit different. Maybe take a couple pitches. Okay, you already had one person who walked. Who was closing? He's a decent closer. He wasn't commanding everything. He'd already given up. He gave up a double. He gave up 2 singles. It was. You were going to be able to almost. I don't want to say steal because we don't know what's going to happen. But man, if you got nothing going for 8 solid innings, you had 3 hits, no runs, 2 guys on base. I mean, it was awful. And if you have a chance to steal a game in the 9th and you blow it like that. That hurts, man.
But to your point, like it's one thing if it's the 3rd inning and Bobby's trying to swing for the fences and he grounds out.
Oh, get your home runs early.
But at some point, even though baseball doesn't have a clock, like you are running out of outs. You're not running out of time, but you're running out of outs. So it's like in the 8th inning, you have to. You have to change your approach. You have to say, I have to loft this ball. I have to get it off the ground. I got to make sure that I don't pop out. Or, if it's a different player up, Cora's got to look at situational baseball. He's got to look at mixing things up, hit and runs.
Unfortunately, Cora wasn't there.
Right.
COVID.
Yes.
And speaking of it, your next batter was, seeing Dahlbach couldn't get the job done. You know who they trotted up next? Jackie Bradley Jr. Then that was the answer. And at that point, I guess they had,
well, they don't have any power off the bench.
And they were talking about this. Felger and Maz were talking about it. Any pinch hitter would have been batting from the same side of the plate as Jackie. So it's really an insult to, who cares?
Yeah.
Okay. Jackie Bradley should know this, especially in today's statistics. Statistically, you are the worst major league hitter in over 100 years. That's just the way it is, dude.
Yeah. And, to your earlier point about, the bunting.
Tell him the coach, take me out.
The bunting situation, right? Like it, and that part of that goes to the economics of the game where dudes don't want to bunt.
No.
But because bunting isn't going to get them the big payday. And I get it. But
home run's worth more than a sack fly. I get it, but
Jackie's not your best option. And I look at who are the guys coming off your bench? I'd have to go back and look at the starting lineup because a lot of dudes have COVID. So people are playing here, there, and everywhere. But you have
had the day off.
Yeah, you have a backup catcher. Right. And I know that they don't have any catchers right now except for Wong because the other 2 guys are sick. But this is in general. Let's throw yesterday out the window. In general, you have a backup catcher. You have Christian Arroyo.
Yep.
and you have Jonathan Aruz, that
Yes.
guy. Okay.
Second.
And he's like a lanky, kind of athletic, middle infield type, right? You really don't have any corner infield, corner outfielder guy like a Kyle Schwarber, or I mean, not that Schwarber wouldn't really.
No, you got Shaw, who is.
Yeah. No, I don't even.
He's a softball player at this point, dude. He is washed up.
No.
I mean,
you can't. You
good
need
for him. He had a good year with the Red Sox, grabbed his money and ran. I don't know what he, I don't know what he was doing for that short period of time, or what changed, or I sold his soul to the devil. I don't know what he did. All right, but he is a shell of the human being.
He has been ousted by the voters as the quote mayor of Ding Dong City. All right.
No.
He is not hitting ding dongs. So I as far as the lineup goes, I think there are too many holes in it right now. I'm all set with Christian Vasquez as a catcher. I need to see a better offensive catcher. I'm all set with that guy. I don't know where they're going to go with that, but we'll have to see. Because right now I can't figure out really much that they're doing.
Well, and I like Christian Vasquez. Usually, when the guy's hitting really bad, that's when it starts to. Well, we need like. You don't hear a lot of pitchers saying they need Christian Vasquez behind the plate.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like you can go back through history, and there's plenty of catchers who couldn't hit for shit, or they were going through really bad times. But that's my catcher. I need him. Like he calls the game I want him to. Right. And I don't know again if this is today's baseball, if the catchers aren't being allowed to call the game as much as they want, so it really doesn't matter who's in there or what the deal is. But nobody is speaking up like I need Christian Vasquez to call the game.
Well, as a Red Sox example, as recently as when we had Gerard Saltalamacchia, he was basically your starter, and a lot of the pitchers preferred David Ross.
Yeah.
So I mean, he was, I think he was catching two guys. So just real quick, speaking of pitchers, so again, this is kind of a bad situation here. Red Sox are the 12th in the American League in starting pitching. Of course, there are 15 teams in the American League. They are 12th. They are at the bottom of the barrel. The two major culprits are Nick Pivetta with his 10.03 ERA, Rich Hill 7.00 ERA. Rich Hill is 5 years younger than me.
No, this dream I think a lot of us had this romantic dream of like
the
old Kevin Costner coming to the mound for one last run. You know what I mean? Yep. And he's gonna just nothing special, but he's gonna eat innings for us, and he'll be the guy there. And it's ugh.
Yeah, and you have some surprises. I mean, Michael Wacha is pitching well. His ERA is under 1, but you have to understand that that's unsustainable. It's not gonna.
I think their biggest surprise is I think their bullpen is better than.
Bullpen's better. Cutter Crawford has been awful, and
he is such a
Matt Barnes has been awful. I'm gonna get to that situation in a second. Yep. Tanner Houck is doing fine, 3.21. He had a nasty pitch they featured on MLB Twitter, and the pitching ninja had his it was like a slider.
He looked good. He's missed his next start.
Nate Eovaldi's pitching fine, but he's 3.68. But here's the issue. It's the Boston Red Sox, and you have no ace and no closer, and that bothers me.
Yeah.
Because
the guy who's pitching the best right now is missing his next start because it's in Toronto.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And he's unvaccinated.
Whitlock has to start.
Yeah.
So and that too, the whole personal choice or whatever, I get it. It's a personal choice. But like, if you're missing starts, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like at what do any of the other players ever have like, what? I guess they don't, because we're the same way. When somebody's absent a whole bunch and other people are picking up the slack for them. Yep. Nobody really says, dude, how about you show up to fucking work? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we all keep our mouths shut, and I'm sure that's what's happening. But you got to think that, you can't pitch on Saturday.
Yeah, I think there's sort of a little bit of an eye roll you know,
Right?
mental eye roll from the coaching staff or whatever, because, you got to kind of go out there and try to win games. And,
No, and this has nothing to do with your rights and you can do whatever you want, but just as far as the team goes, come on, man.
right. One final thought before we wrap it up. They had a tribute for Jerry Remy.
And everybody was there.
Everybody was there. It was a pretty good ceremony until you found out that the Red Sox had asked Don Orsillo to do like a video message for the fans and for the family and so on and so forth.
Yep.
And Orsillo, read did a statement in front of the camera or whatever. And the Red Sox contacted him like after they edited the video and all that stuff, and they said
they didn't use any videos.
No. Yeah, they said we won't be, we don't need your video.
Thank you. Love you, mean it. We're good.
Right. We're good. Thanks anyway. And I just think that is the most classless
I do
thing the Red Sox, this ownership group, I've talked about it with you. I've talked about it with a friend of the show, Drew Athens, a lot. And I don't know how you can win 4 World Series with the Boston Red Sox and still be reviled.
No, we said it before. They're clearly their PR is one of the most important things to them, and they're terrible at it.
It's so bizarre.
With that said, though, Don Orsillo is also a bitch. Okay, like that statement he put out minutes after, like everybody look at, like, you know what I mean, dude? Yeah. If the better way for Don Orsillo would be to really say nothing, and maybe like a week later have a reporter ask him about it. That's hey, how come you weren't at Jerry Remy's? And now, they asked me. And you trust me, he's in the loop enough. He could set that up very easily. Okay, and I made a video thing. Okay, Don, you're not killing yourself. You're in front of a camera all day. It took you a few minutes. So the Red Sox, terrible move. There is still something very bad between the Boston Red Sox and Don. Both sides. The clearly, I mean, there was always talk that it didn't end well. It ended bad.
Yeah,
and it's pretty obvious.
A little bird told me too that Dave O'Brien was kind of working behind the scenes with the Red Sox to be Orsillo's replacement for like a couple years. Like it wasn't like the Red Sox were like, okay, Don, you're fired. We don't, like this, that, the other about you, or your salary's too high, or whatever the situation is. And we'll just hire the radio guy to do the TV. That wasn't what it was like. And what O'Brien's like, oh, I'm so surprised and so honored to do that.
Some campaigning.
I think there was a campaign. I think there was a lot of undercutting. And
I think O'Brien might have had some offers from other places, and they said, listen, stay, you're gonna end up on TV. You know what I mean? As opposed, you can go somewhere else and be a radio guy for the rest of your life, or
but I guess there's a lot of kind of media people in the Red Sox. So I don't know if it's Castiglione. I don't know if it's I don't know if it was Remy. I know that when O'Brien and Remy first started working together, I just felt like it was very tepid. Like, it was they didn't have the same chemistry. But I felt like it wasn't even like, oh, we're a new team. I sensed from Remy that he flat out didn't want him there.
Yeah.
And I kind of talked myself out of that. I was like, I don't know, like that's kind of unprofessional. And Remy's been with a lot of guys. So he's been with McDonough, he's been with Orsillo, he's been with what's his face, Ned Martin, and like, he's been with a lot of guys. So like, but looking back now that I have that information, that kind of makes sense to me that, it was kind of known that O'Brien was campaigning to do this. And I don't know, makes sense in retrospect.
Does make sense. But again, Orsillo's got he seems to be, I kind of follow his Twitter. He's cute a little bit. And his place in the history of the Boston Red Sox, I think he's a little inflated about that. You know what I mean? You were a guy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
so let's relax a little bit. And dude, you're doing the fucking Padres now. It's not like, you're so
Well, first of all, like you left, I was outside yesterday playing, coaching my son's little league team, and it's 48 degrees and windy and we're all miserable. And it's like, at least you get out of this, the weather's nice here 2 months of the year.
No, yeah. He woke up this morning and went, oh, it's gonna be 70.
It's sunny and I can go to the beach.
Yeah. Tomorrow's gonna be 71.
But Red Sox fans, part of the reason why Orsillo might be like that. Red Sox fans pump up. They care so much about their announcers. And I mean,
I don't get it.
You don't want some incompetent, nitwit out there. But at the same time, like they all train kind of the same way. I don't really, I guess if you went to broadcasting school, you can pick up on nuances of what broadcast do. Like some people.
The reason Don Orsillo got the job in the first place is because he sounded just like Sean fucking McDonough.
Right.
And they didn't want to pay McDonough anymore.
Exactly.
McDonough wanted more money, and he left for ESPN, CBS, and shit like that.
And McDonough has
sounded like him.
McDonough has spoken about that. He said, like, I think Don kind of copied my cadence and everything else. And
it took people, some people it took years before they knew it switched.
I know. I know. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. That was just like when Ben Cherington took over for Theo, and they both sound exactly the same.
Yeah, exactly.
So weird. All right. So, one last thing. I tried to find this, but I'm pretty sure I know it off the top of my head. I don't think any of, it's only been 2 years to your point, and then we had the COVID shortened year and everything else. But, all these minor leaguers that Chaim Bloom has so famously drafted or acquired via trade, like Franchi Cordero, like the two dudes from Milwaukee that that they got for Jackie Bradley, whatever. Like none of these players are even on like the team. So
you mean like the reasons why they're not going to sign Devers or Bogarts?
Right. So my question is, and some of these guys that are close, they weren't drafted by Chaim Bloom. They were drafted by Dombrowski. So it's like, my question is like, when is this famous like minor league rebuild going to, if you're not going to sign Devers and you're not going to sign Bogarts, can these guys at least make a major league roster? Like that'd be great. And once again, all right, please draft some starting pitching, homegrown pitching. I mean, this is like stud level starting pitching, and it's been this team.
Or recognize that you have players, and your minor league doesn't have to play for you. Your minor league can just be your way to get stud pitching and things like that's fine too.
Right. Yeah. And there's got to be a better mix, I think, if you're gonna criticize Chaim Bloom.
So we're just gonna hold on to all these draft picks, and oh my god, we have, and that's the thing. We're gonna be. It seems like they're gonna be caught in this perpetual, like, oh, the Red Sox have the. Baseball America says the Red Sox are number 3 for prospects or number 2 for prospects, and we're gonna keep talking about that, but we're not going to do anything with them.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean? Just keep holding on to them. Prospects are great. Problem is, eventually a prospect starts to play, and then it really matters if they're good. When they're just prospects, it's awesome.
Yeah.
you can say how good they. You know what I mean?
Right. Yep.
Anybody can project.
They have to perform on the field.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think you're taking a risk if you're going to lose these guys who can perform on the field.
Absolutely. All right. So that's it for episode number 115 of the Loaded on Lansdowne Red Sox podcast. I'm your host, Mark Chikaris. Alongside me virtually is Andrew Andrews, and we will see you next week.
Peace.